This is the Caliph podcast. I'm Karusoli and we're on episode 16. My guest today is Mohammed Faris, the executive coach, best-selling author, and speaker. You are the founder of the Productive Muslim company, which offer faith-based productivity trainings, seminars, and retreats to over 1 million followers. We are also the author of the best-selling book, The Productive Muslim, where faith meets productivity. In 2014, you were added to the list of world's 500 most influential Muslims. 2 years later, you received the Islamic Economy Award in the media category for your valuable contribution to the development of the global Islamic economy. We are here to talk about your journey building the productive Muslim, the Barakah culture, productivity, and more. Faris, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Caliph podcast.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for having me. And I just love the title of your podcast. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate being here.
Alhamdulillah. All right. So before we start off all the questions, I just want to ask, how is it like there in the US with the COVID-19 situation? How are you handling it? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a rough ride. I'm sure you've already seen the news. It's things are a bit rough, but as I said, alhamdulillah, we're still standing. We're still doing our work. We ask Allah Ta'ala to protect us and protect everyone, inshallah, and protect humanity, and to elevate us from this situation. It's been a bit of a rough journey. A lot of us sort of didn't see it coming. We saw perhaps we had plans for the year. We had goals, ideas, right? Projects we wanted to implement. And now we're kind of going through this sort of reorienting, rediscovery. And I will say that, alhamdulillah, the month of Ramadan is here, because I feel like Ramadan was we needed Ramadan. We needed Ramadan to kind of like get off ourselves and really connect to us spiritually, and to really start to press this reset button so we can tackle this challenge, inshallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Okay, before I start the question, I just want to ask, everyone knows your famous story of how you started the Productive Muslim. You wrote it in your books and it's in the website. But I would like to know the life before the Productive Muslim, before that famous story of your flatmate youngest brother, right? Yeah, so before 2007. So what was it like?
Yeah, I was at that time I was in college, so I was doing my university studies. I was studying economics and finance at the University of Bristol in the UK. At the same time, I was involved with a lot of other things. So I worked odd jobs, from like window cleaning to grocery shopping, to all the way to things like, what was it? Interpreter, Arabic English interpreter, and sometimes in some serious cases. And also I was involved with the community as well. So I was doing some after school programs with low-income families, and also was doing some Islamic teaching, as well as running the Islamic Society at the University of Bristol. So I was involved in a lot of things, little projects here and there. And I guess I always say that at university, what I got from university was not the academics really. What I got from university was just the variety of experiences that really helped shape this idea of starting Productive Muslim.
Yeah.
It was not about the economics and finance that I went there to study. It was more about meeting people, engaging people, debating, discussing, working, trying these odd jobs, right? And then you kind of you learn who you are, learn who you want to be. I felt that was kind of the formative years of before Productive Muslim was born and launched.
I see. So you were based in the UK at that time?
Yes, at that time.
All the way since you... Yeah, I see. Okay, so maybe we can share with us again about the Productive Muslim, how you built it from scratch from 2007. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2007, again, it was while I was involved in all these projects, part of me felt really busy, felt very overwhelmed. I was quite stressed out. I was like, okay, how do I manage my time? How do I manage my focus? I was all over the place. And that's when I kind of fell into this whole science of productivity, getting things done, 7 habits, all this lifehacker.com, all these tools and techniques and softwares. How do you optimize, be more efficient? And I really sort of fell in love with that, because I realized that sort of knowledge, that sort of science can really help unlock your full potential. And I started sort of getting deep into that. But as I was studying that, part of me had this like an inkling thinking, wait a second, if this is such an important topic for our own well-being to achieve any goal in life, how come we don't hear much talking about it in our community, in the Muslim community, and among sort of our and halaqas and massages? And that's when this idea of Productive Muslim popped up. And I remember I mentioned this in the book that I started off really by trying initially to take what's out there and share with the Muslim world. But over I guess, over a couple of years, I realized it's the other way around. I realized that maybe I was not looking at productivity from the lens of our faith. And I started, well, what does Islam have to offer to the world? What is the
Yep.
life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? What is the Sahaba? What is our great history and civilization offer to the world in terms of the science of productivity? And this this shift kind of really helped to direct the content of the website and blogs. And we started seeing these interesting links which we never thought of before. But then it became like hopefully a discussion topic for many people. Alhamdulillah, today it's not us ourselves, many amazing authors, speakers, coaches who are taking who are making Islam relevant again to the in modern context. And I feel like we're part of this journey of contextualizing, understanding our faith, digging deeper, and really making sure that Islam, how Islamic is relevant to seeing it as important part of us being successful in this world and the next, inshallah.
Yeah, very true. So how's the story like? Like you started off first as a blog, right? And then slowly it went just dead for a while. Then how did you pick it up back? Yeah.
So it started as a blog, initially just writing, and then after 6 months I shut it down. I was like, it's a stupid idea. Who's even gonna read this? Like, who in their right mind would go to ProductiveMuslim? And then basically after that I graduated from my master's degree. I was done my university, and then 6 months down the road, two things happened. Number one, I get an email from a 10-year-old boy who says, "Hey, where's your blog? I loved it." And I was like, "What? There's a reader. Someone actually cares about this stuff." And the second thing was having someone asked me about I came across this hadith Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that said, "Burika li ummati fi bukuriha," that the early hours are blessed for my nation. And what's interesting about that hadith, that the narrator of that hadith said that he started sending his servants, his sort of traders early in the morning, and became very wealthy as a result. So I'm like, wait a second, this is a Sahabi companion who understood the context of the hadith in order to be successful in this world. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And that's when I start realizing, wait a second, every productivity book that I'm reading talks about wake up early, importance of waking up early, morning routines.
Yes.
And that's whole, kind of like you open up this whole box of like, wait a second, what else is in our faith that can help us lead holistic, meaningful, productive, impactful lives with meaning and barakah, basically. And that's when it's sort of that once you kind of that opening up. And again, I can't say it's an idea I had or vision I had. It's more like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kind of putting the breadcrumbs, right? Follow the breadcrumbs. I'm like a little bird, right? There's a breadcrumb in front of me and I go eat that one. And, oh, there's another one. I go eat that one. That's exactly how it worked out. So it didn't have like sort of 10-year goal, 10-year vision. I'll be standing here doing this full time. It was more like, start a blog and then the topic would be clear. And then it started people getting invited for workshops. Like, okay, next to training. Then I had my first international gig. Actually was UK. It was in London. And the second was in Singapore. And that's something else that people know, that Singapore was actually the launch pad of ProductiveMuslim going international, really. And I wanted to give huge thanks to the people at Muiz who actually invited me. And we did a second Youth Alive workshop in Singapore. And slowly but surely became, the word started spreading around. And of course, then the book was born. And once the book came out, that was the turning point for us to make this full-time, inshallah.
Yeah. So, but during that time, you were working as a banker yourself. Is that right? You didn't just
I was working for.
Yeah,
I was working for the Islamic Development Bank in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So I was working as a risk management officer. So Islamic Development Bank is a wonderful institution that does a lot of service to Muslim Ummah. And it was really, for me, it was one of my dream places to go. Honestly, when I graduated, I looked at my degree, looked at what's out there in the market. And by the way, I graduated in the smack middle of the great, recession in 2008. So I was like, okay, no more jobs here.
Yeah.
So, yep. And then I realized, okay, alhamdulillah, then this opportunity came up. And subhanAllah, it was Saudi Arabia, close to Mecca, Medina, was working for a noble institution with very good objectives. And I was working in a field that was interesting for me, in terms of finance, banking, Islamic finance, as well as risk management. But subhanAllah, you plan, Allah plans, right? On the side, ProductiveMuslim kept growing, and until I think 2014, it reached a point I had to make a decision. I'm like, am I being unfair to my work, or should I focus ProductiveMuslim? Should I shut down ProductiveMuslim completely again? And that's where those decisions came up, where even though the work I was doing, I was enjoying and I loved the people there and we had a great time. And I was, alhamdulillah, I was doing well in career-wise, financially.
Yep.
But then part
Yep.
of me is like, Allah Subhanahu opens a door for you and you realize this is what I've been
Yes.
created for. I feel more
Yeah.
alive doing this. And that's when the call came and I, prayed istikhara, sought my parents' blessings and Bismillah, there I am right now in Texas, Dallas. Who 5 years ago, if you asked me this, I was like, imagine yourself being in Dallas, Texas, doing Productive full time. I'm like, are you crazy? No, but here I am. Subhanallah.
So back then you had a comfortable job and Productive Muslims is growing. And but how about the financial state? Was it like on par, or you just took the
Not at
risk and
all.
just jump?
Not at all. I mean, the work in an institution, mashallah, alhamdulillah, was a really good job, really high salary, good benefits. The biggest benefit for me was literally 45 minutes away from Mecca, 2 hours, 3 hours away from Medina. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of perks, right? And if I remember me and my wife was sitting and doing decision tree, should I stay in the bank or should I focus Barakah Muslim? And the benefits of staying at the job was like this huge list, right? This huge list.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
the one benefit of Productive Muslim was I literally wrote a meaningful life. I mean, literally I said a meaningful life. And I felt like this is what I'll pursue. It was a lot of risk. It was a lot of financial risk. It was one of those, decisions. But again, it's one of those things where I felt like if I said no to that, I probably would have been more miserable the rest of my life because, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, each one of us created us for a specific role. And it's almost I felt I was created for this role. And again, not to think no one else could do this work. I'm sure there's amazing people who can do this work. But at that time, and of course, getting the blessings of my parents was a huge thing, even though it was a huge risk for them as well, right? And getting the support of my wife was huge as well. And now we have with 3 kids and you have, moving to new countries, starting from scratch, no idea how this was go. I mean, the odds were stacked against us. But again, this is where Barakah culture comes in. This is where I kind of learned the idea of Barakah culture. So this is what we want to focus on because there's meaning and impact in what we're doing here, inshallah.
So before you took that jump, you were married, and your wife is she working? Was she working?
Yes, she worked, but she took a break from work after we got married. Now she does run her own small business here from Texas, Dallas. On shout out called Sweet Greetings. It's a great place. You should check it out. Just shameless plug there. And yes, alhamdulillah. So she was an HR consultant before we before married. Now we got married. So now it's a one single income, moving to a new country, starting from scratch, and trying to make it work. And now Productive Muslim was making some financials, but it was definitely not on par on the work that I was in the bank. But again, we talked about Baraka, we talked about meaning, we talked about impact. I could not compare, and this is what the decision was by Allah's permission. Alhamdulillah.
So when you moved to US, how was it like? Like why US? Why can't you just stay in UK and grow it? Yeah. Why do you move to US?
Well, at that time, of course, I was not a UK citizen. I was living in Saudi. I was not a Saudi citizen. So in terms of immigration purposes, my wife is American, so it was easier for her to sponsor me to move to the US. That was literally for logistic purposes. There was no other reason. It wasn't like, I want to follow the American dream or I want to go and, I just said, given the logistics where I am, given what, I had a Tanzanian citizenship, I was like, I cannot go to Tanzania. I can't stay in Saudi. I can't live in the UK. My wife's American. She can sponsor me. Let's start it off there. That was really the legit logic of it all.
Right.
Again, one of those things where you don't really think through, just kind of see what's easy and just go for it kind of thing. And yeah, the first couple of years was tough. I mean, I have to admit it. And I have to give a big shout out to my in-laws family, right? To my father-in-law, mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law. They were here. They were very supportive, made our life much, much easier. And it just that, again, sometimes we always have this vision of this pioneering entrepreneur doing things on their own and working in the basement, but without the social family support, you can't achieve much. And this is part of the Barakah culture where we're not individuals trying to make things happen. The Prophet Muhammad had to have companions and his family support, right? So having that family network is so essential to kind of be able to focus on doing such work, basically. Alhamdulillah.
So when you were building Productive Muslim in US, right? And were you following what you preach in terms of productivity, right? Because I understand that you had your firstborn at the time, during that time, is it? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
so how's the challenge like? Because I'm a parent myself. I just got a newborn,
Allah,
8 months,
mashallah.
and
Barakah, inshallah.
you
Mashallah.
know, thank you. And the challenge of you want to be productive, and at the same time you have to be a parent, and you're an entrepreneur yourself, and you have your wife. Like, it's so hard to be productive. So how
Yeah.
do you manage, yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first comes down to again how you define productivity and sort of again it was again that called the gardener mindset. So I'll show you an example. I mean, I was struggling with the same thing. In fact, the first couple of years was very tough trying to balance everything, and also moving away from being an employee with a
Right.
regular salary, regular sort of paycheck to being an entrepreneur.
Correct.
Where like,
Right.
I used to wake up middle of the night thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to pay the bills this month, right? And that's you get that panic attack, and then you
Yep.
start working and all that stuff. And
Yes.
part of
Yes.
the process
True.
was just having that, doing what you can, having the trust, right? Tying your camel, having the trust. And I remember I was talking to my own coach once where I was really struggling with this issue, especially on the emotional side, where I'm try and make this thing work, right? Trying to make this business
Correct.
work, putting my hours
Yes.
in. And then let's say
Yes.
my son just barges the room or he's crying, and I'm like, and my whole plan for the day, my whole productivity goes out the window. I'm like,
Yes.
like why? Like I need to focus, right? And I remember, they said something which really kind of made me stop. It's like, it goes, Muhammad, how long do you think your son would barge into your office? And I was like, maybe to 3, 4 years. After that, they probably grow up and don't want to even be in my office. I'll have to drag
Yeah.
them in. And it made me realize that these are moments,
Yeah.
these, as kids I grow up, I chose to work from home. I could have rented an office. I could have worked out elsewhere, but I chose to work from home because I wanted to be much because that's part of me being productive. It's like, I want to be
Yeah.
a father. I want to be a stay-at-home dad who you
Yes.
see the children,
Yes.
play with the children. So it's part of the process of really saying, doing what you can. And then as things unfold, having called a mind like water, where, where you're not too rigid, where if something comes in your way, all right, it disturbs you. You have to reshuffle, you have to train things out and be very fluid, very calm and peaceful, and always being in a state of presence, of state of, and this is an example of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he'd be
Yeah.
walking in Medina, going somewhere, and a little girl would come tug at his shirt and ask him for something, and he would go with her. I'm like, dude, like he's trying to save
Yeah.
humanity, right? Like he hasn't got time for
Yeah.
it's small, but he did give her time. He gave his wife's time. He gave his family time. He gave his companions time. So just seeing that model, realize, well, we're not any better. So we need to really understand it's not about trying to be structured and rigid. That's not being productive. Really being productive is being able to maximize use of your energy, focus, and time within your
Yeah.
context. If something pops up, guess what? Allah sent that to you as a test to see how you react.
Mm.
You react in the best way, and you just continue and just have that tawakkul and that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan that's much better than your plan, basically.
Yeah. Nice. I love that advice from you. Because
Still
I'm
working
to
on
be
it, by the
honest,
way. You can ask my wife
really.
and kids. I'm still working. I'm still work in progress. I'll openly say
Yeah,
that
because
I'm not perfect at
because
this.
yeah, because you always have this idea. Oh, the author is writing. This is like a perfect book, right? Like I have it right here, and I was like, wow. And I was just thinking, like, how is he coping with his life? Is he really, always waking up at 3 a.m. and how is he gonna? Is he like, like I'm sure you will struggle here and there. So I just want to hear like from a real perspective, right? From you,
Absolutely,
how are you coping with it?
absolutely. I will say I wrote this book for myself. I didn't write this book for other people. All right. I felt like sometimes I always scratch your own itch, and even Muslim, I actually benefit myself more than the beautiful thing about doing this work is that it kind of helps you hold up the mirror and
Yeah.
and sort of realize, okay, I'm struggling with this. All right, how can I fix this? Now I kind of know my own advice. I'm doing my own research, and if something is not working, I can say, well, if this doesn't work for me, how can I even teach this? So I end up updating the content, changing the content, improving the content, inshallah. So I think part of this process is when I look at this, what I wrote and I'm applying, is the fact that I have the toolboxes. I have these tools, and then I almost have no excuse, right? If I feel lazy,
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second,
Right.
what do you figure? If I procrastinate, if I'm struggling with, with dealing with my time, it's
Yeah.
like I've got the tools. I just got to make sure to use them and apply them. And I think being always conscious of using these tools makes you
Yeah.
and almost like have better use of these tools instead of trying to figure them out on your own. So part of the process, in a way, I have an advantage that I do this as my work. So I kind of practice on myself and test this stuff on myself first. But at the same time, if I do fail, and it happens so many
Yeah.
times, I will say,
Yeah.
well, what went wrong? And I can diagnose it and try to fix it in a way that makes sense, inshallah. So I think it's a two-way process. And that's why this work is so meaningful, because I find it that it's helping me become a better version of myself. And I think that's part of the process as well.
Nice. So you've been pushing your works, strongly around the world. And are there any new, like, bigger goals or bigger plans to reach bigger, more audience out there for you and your company?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that after we did, so about a couple of years ago, we celebrated our 10th year anniversary of ProductiveMuslim in 2017. And
Nice. Congrats.
we were like looking at that and we're like, well, 10 years, where are we going, kind of thing. One of the interesting things that came to us as we were doing that analysis, looking at everything over the years, is that this concept of Barakah is kind of like, that's the flagship thing we need to focus on. This idea of this Barakah culture, this idea of, if we felt we are in the story where right now there's two narratives. The narratives that, well, there's one narrative that if you want to be successful in life, you need to subscribe to the hustle culture, Gary V style, no excuses, beat yourself up, right? And I mean, all respect to Gary V, I'm like, I just can't stand his stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just not human, right? It's like trying human beings to machines, and then it's like, and then make you feel like a loser if you can't keep up with that machine, with that rat race in life. Like, something's off here. And the question, what's the alternative? Because, all right, if you're saying, well, that doesn't make sense, it doesn't work, well, show me a better alternative. And this is where we're trying right now to develop this what is now we call, to coin this Barakah culture, a culture where the roots are, if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you believe there is a hereafter, if you believe in the Quran and Sunnah, that's your roots, that's the starting point. And from there, that drives your mindsets, your values, your rituals, the way you conduct yourself in your day-to-day. And then the fruits, the outcome is beyond expectation. And as a civilization, Islamic civilization, that Barakah culture was very normal. It was part and parcel of people's lives. If you look at the incredible works of Imam Ghazali, or Imam Bukhari, or Imam Suyuti, or all Imam Nawawi, it's like these people, they were pumping out books like anything. I'm like, imagine I wrote one book and I'm like, whew, that's done. Like, and they're like volumes of books are just coming out. I'm like, what is that? That's Barakah, right? There's almost like beyond expectation. And I feel like that is a missing piece, where it's not about competing with hustle culture. It's saying, actually, there's a better way to live. There's a better way that's more spiritually grounded, more fulfilling, more meaningful, more impactful, that can actually help not just Muslims, but beyond Muslims as well. So that's has been my recent past 2 years. We've been really focusing on this with our new platform, Barakah Academy. We're trying to kind of codify, like, how do you teach Barakah? How do you explain Barakah? How do you train people on Barakah? Even to non-Muslims. How do we did some workshops with American Airlines, with Twitter, with Salesforce, with Texas Instruments, major companies that have these, we have this kind of faith-based groups, and we're going to them. It's like, well, there's a different way of being productive, and they love it. Like, we love this Baraka stuff. It's awesome. So like, great. So there you go.
Nice. Because I mean, to be honest with you, there are once, I was really, hooked on in the hustle lifestyle, and I mean, of course you want, because in today's world, like, everyone is preaching, you need speed, business, you need to reach there fast, you need to scale. Everyone just wants to scale up, right? And then your life starts to get not balanced, right, and stuff like that. So when it comes to the Barakah culture, I was like, wow, this is something that we've been blinded by. Everything is just Gary V. Yeah. So I thankfully you guys are out there and preaching this.
And again, it's still early on, and what we need, I was telling the team, what we need now is more case studies. We need people who are saying, yes, I've experienced Barakah culture and it's making a difference. Because right now it still might be theoretical, be framework. That's why I'm interested to work with organizations, with companies, entrepreneurs. Well, how do you live Barakah culture? What does it look like? And what are the decisions you make on a day-to-day basis? And bring that to life. Because the moment people say, oh, if someone else can do it, then yes. Because right now we're blinded by hustle culture, because hustle culture looks so successful. Right? We look at, oh my God, look at, so-and-so. They started this company at 19 years old. Look at the billionaires right now. So we look at hustle culture. It looks so successful that in a way, part of us think, well, is that what you actually want out of life? And we're questioning everything that hustle culture stands for. And people don't like it, by the way. But that's part of the challenge, because this is what Islam came. Islam came to liberate people, right? Islam came to liberate people from worshiping, false gods. Sometimes the false gods could be money. The false gods could be continuous growth. The false gods could be hustle culture. The false god could be this, fake image of, oh, look at me. I have, I'm doing meditation with an app at 2 a.m, and then I go in the gym at 4 a.m, and then I do this stuff. I'm like, is that even real?
Yeah.
And let's fast forward to 50, 60, 70 years from now. Will you be saying the same things?
Yes.
I mean, it's unrealistic. And I feel like as a community, as the last divine message to mankind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given Muslims the last divine message to mankind through the Quran, through the Sunnah of Rasulullah. We have a responsibility to tell people the way we're living is not working. And guess what? This global pandemic that happened, this is the prime time to talk about this stuff, because people are not realizing, all the hustling was for what? What's the crazy hustling for? And like, wait a second. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to send a massive, a virus this small to kind of slow us down from hustling, and hopefully, inshallah, discover a different way of living. We hope that will be Barakah culture, inshallah.
What are the new theories or ideas that you have introduced? Right, recently you've been talking more about Barakah culture. Is there any other theories? Because I mean, your book was everything is here, right? So any additional, edited
Absolutely. I mean, I was reviewing the book this Ramadan, and some stuff nice. I'm like, oh man, there's a lot I had to change. I was like, so yeah, it's part of human nature, right? We're not part of you evolving of thinking and evolving of how you think. True. And this is why the miracle of the Quran, for 23 years was consistent, and that is by itself is a miracle, because every human being, as you age, as you learn, you change your ideas, you change your thoughts, but the Quran is from beginning to end is very consistent. That's finalized the miracle of the Quran. So there's definitely been a lot of new thinking, new ideas, and also collaborations with people like Dr. Abdullah Rahman, people who have really studied this stuff and are coming with very interesting frameworks as well. We featured one of his articles, Dr. Abdullah talked about what Islam offers the self-help world. And that was a very powerful article, which I feel like most people should be reading that article, because it just gives you a whole different perspective on this whole self-help industry, basically. And one of the theories that we've been really thinking about, which it might seem like simple, but I feel it's fundamental, is this idea of Ikhlas, sincerity. And even like, how do you understand Ikhlas? What Ikhlas looks like? What's the impact of Ikhlas? We all see what Ikhlas, but is make sure you pray Ikhlas to Allah, you read Quran for Ikhlas. What does it mean to live with Ikhlas in every moment of your life? What does it mean to have Ikhlas in the moment whether you feed your spouse, whether you change the diaper of your baby, whether you go and go out and exercise? What does it mean? And I feel like it is one of the most powerful concepts, which is the starting point for Barakah culture, honestly, that the more they're thinking about it, more realize, boy, this is even like tip of the iceberg, which explains why all the scholars every time reminds of Ikhlas, and they all start their books with hadith about Ikhlas. We was like, yeah, we know this. Move on, let's go next one. But it is fundamental. And I think that by itself could be another 20-year journey, just discovering that.
So are you going to launch a new edition for the book, or are you going to launch a separate book?
To be announced. I'll keep the suspense going.
All right, great. So I think just a couple of minutes before I went live with you, right? I was checking your Instagram, ProductiveMuslim Instagram, and what made me, so excited about is I saw this where faith meets personal finance, money masterclass. I think that is something that, I mean, you guys also did a survey, right? Like, a lot of Muslims or humans, they don't like to talk about money. So maybe you can share a bit about that.
Absolutely. So that's our partnership with Sheikh Joe Bradford. Sheikh Joe Bradford is an American scholar that really covers, he has strong grounding in personal finance, as well as Islamic traditional knowledge, as well as ethical financing. So we actually hired him to do a 6-week money masterclass program. So we realized at ProductiveMuslim, one of the interesting things about Muslim and Barakah Academy, that we connect spirituality, faith with the latest in personal development. So faith and productivity, faith and money, faith
Yep.
and leadership,
Yep.
faith and decision making,
Nice.
and kind
Nice.
of bringing them together. And also not bringing them together. Sometimes I've seen some attempts where some people just, they kind of slap on Islamic terminologies on something without really kind of like restructure the whole thing from the ground up. And that's why I like Joe Bradford's work, where he restructures the whole thing from an Islamic paradigm versus simply just adding Islamic terms, and replacing them with from secular terms, for example. And so I think this is, again, one of these ventures we do, working now with him on, and just trying to understand, how do you fuse spirituality with money? Money is one of the most
Yeah.
sensitive topics. People find really
Correct.
uncomfortable talking about money.
Yes.
People have a lot of, especially in the Muslim community, there's a lot of misconceptions about money. People don't
Yep.
like to deal with money. A lot of marriage issues because of money. So we thought this
Yes.
is a very hot topic. And how do you bring this spirituality, faith, and again, the Barakah, again, still within Barakah culture. And that's why I like George Bradford. He brought the Barakah culture into this whole money management, which can be very powerful, absolutely, as well.
Nice. Nice. So how was it? Everyone enjoyed the
Alhamdulillah. So it's our
masterclass?
third time we're running it. So we've been running it since we did last April, September, we did this April, and then we're coming up in October, inshallah. So we run twice a year as a program. We like this format of live classes because, honestly speaking, who watches recordings anymore, right? It's too much recordings
Correct.
going
Yep.
on. So
Yep.
we like
Yep.
this live. Even though we do a ProductiveMuslim masterclass, we do money masterclass, we do have advanced masterclass with Dr. Bilal Rothman. So we're working with these instructors to offer live, long-term. Also, this one-off courses, like, watch it one day, or it's too short to make an impact. We like this long
Yep.
6-7 weeks where there's a
Yep.
journey, and you learn by doing and interacting with others and asking questions, versus it being like a one-off hit wonder, where you kind of like, okay, you attend, it's nice, but then you're like, what happened? Where did I go from here, kind of thing.
So it's kind of like a seminar, right?
It's more like, I call it more like, we call it more executive education. If you notice, a lot of executive education programs for universities or for like Harvard executive education, all this,
Yeah.
what they do over periods of time, because knowledge needs to be sink in, right? They all say that
Yep.
70% of learning happens by doing, 20% by learning from others, and then 10% is actually instructor, whatever the instructor taught you. So unless people really have that time and the breathing space to experience it, to try it out, to come back with more questions, then it just becomes like, okay, nice, I watched this, and then that's it, you forget about it. And we really focus, again, part of Barakah, focus on impact versus output, right? It's not about just pumping, give courses. It's about really focus on that impact and helping the people hopefully change by Allah's permission, inshallah.
So you've been doing all these seminars live and stuff like that. And how's the experience like now? Because it's COVID-19, right? So it's all virtual. And you took it all to webinars. And how was the response like from the audiences? Yeah.
To be honest, our decision us to shift more online happened 2 years ago. I have my second child at that time. Now I have my third child, and I realized, it's not sustainable for me to travel. Even if I build a team of instructors, and I don't want to be that traveling dad, right? All the time traveling, it's tiring. It's not sustainable. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So actually, about over 2-3 years ago, we kind of shifted a lot of our business to be online anyway. With a few exceptions, like Singapore is one of them, my favorite place to go. So we always go once a while. We always first try to go to Singapore, for example. We do Malaysia and other parts of that region. Sometimes go to the Middle East as well. If there's corporate clients, sometimes we have corporate clients who want to do for a management team or for more of their, for divisions or for companies, then we do go in person. But most of the B2C, like to individuals, who do that online.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah, again, and this kind of helped give us a leg ahead. So when this whole thing happened, we didn't have to change much. It was like, well, we got the platform, we got the structure. We know what works online, what doesn't work online. For example, we don't just engage. How do you get people engaged? How do you get people involved? How do you bring learning and make it more social learning versus just memorization learning? So a lot of these tools are, but again, we're still learning, still experiencing. And I think in the next few months and perhaps a couple of years, we will see a whole revolution on how learning is conducting online. And we're always trying to be at the cutting edge of that to make sure we get the best experience to our customers, basically.
All right, got it. So you've done a few retreats.
Yes.
Is it like four retreats really? Is it
4 retreats? Yes, 4 retreats.
Yeah. So what's the experience like for yourself? Spending time with your followers. And how's their response like? in the
Alhamdulillah.
retreats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, that idea was hatched in Singapore. Look at the Barakah of Singapore, man, I'm telling you, mashallah. So I went, I was going to Singapore, I was flying to Singapore, and I met one of my really friends and partners, Halal Trip, which is a Singaporean company that does halal travel. And we were met to Doha airport. We were traveling to Singapore both. And like, oh, let's catch up in Singapore and have dinner. We went to Arab
Yeah.
Street, have I think Fikra was it the place, the amazing
Fika, yeah.
Fika. There you go. Amazing. We
Yeah.
sat down, we discussed the ideas, and I told him, listen, for me, my dream was to do a retreat because here I am teaching live workshops online, but I'm not seeing the change. I don't know if this stuff
Yeah.
actually, if people really will see the difference. And I told him, I want a
Yeah.
7-day retreat. He goes, 7 days is too long. I'm like, I just want a 7-day retreat where I want to see someone come in and then leave and they'll feel like this was transformative, right? That's kind of like what I wanted to do. And he said, all right, what do you need? I told him, honestly, I just want to take care of the logistics because I don't have time to bandwidth to do logistics. The cost, I'll take the logistics, you take care of the program. Like, deal. And that was literally, the deal was hatched in 2016, I think, 2017. We had the first one in Sri Lanka, and then there are 3 in Bintan Island, again, not far from Singapore. And those 3, honestly, in these past retreats, the first time was a make or break for me because the first time we're not sure if the people responded to it, about 20 people, and we realized like, okay, the fact that 20 people came around the world to this means there's something here. And subsequently, we had more people come in. And honest for me, that's the highlight of my year because just meeting people. Some of them have heard about Muslim, long-term followers. Some of them first time. I know some people like, I just Googled something, spiritual retreat. I saw you guys and I booked it. I'm like, I don't know what you guys do anyway. Like, perfect, right? So we had like the whole all range. And then seeing people go through that journey, you know, through workshops, through coaching, through reflections, seeing tears, seeing laughter, seeing people like becoming, you know, friends for life, you know, really it's a transformative experience that you just cannot get by one-off workshops or even by virtual workshops. So that was that was something that you know, recently had one in, as well. We had literally had ours in early February before this whole thing blew off, right? Blew up basically. And it's kind of like, if we were 2 weeks late, we would have had to cancel it. But alhamdulillah, Allah's permission, we had the last one in February. It worked out nice. People loved it, you know, and still the group is still in touch with each other. And inshallah, we ask that we still continue these retreats, you know, post-COVID, inshallah. I feel it's very essential for people to take time out of the busy schedules and then to spend 7 days in a retreat. And for us, it was very confusing because someone said, well, what is this? This is not Hajj or Umrah. This is not some kind of, you know, a knowledge retreat. We go to a sheikh or scholar and study with them. Like, this is like, what is this? People like weren't sure how to put it, which bucket to put it into. And we kind of almost like a new bucket, which is personal development. This is about, I'm just a facilitator. I'm not the sheikh or the leader. I'm just a facilitator. Right. I'm here to provide the hosting environment to help you develop and grow, which I found is a model that works for some people and they found it very beneficial. Alhamdulillah.
So are you planning to do more retreats in the future for yourself?
Absolutely.
And how are you gonna are there ideas to improve the retreats?
Absolutely. So there's
Make
lots
it
of
bigger
ideas.
or something.
Well, I think the size-wise is one of those things we're debating because if it's too big, you might lose a personal touch. And if it's too, and so we're going to keep it at that 20, 25, 30. We want to keep it also, keep that small size. What we might do is repeat at different locations, right? So maybe have one in the Southeast Asia, have one in coast North America, have one maybe in Africa, Middle East. So you will see, depending on demand, of course, we'll see how it goes. But it takes a lot of time to prepare for these. So that's why I prefer once a year, it's more enough. But it depends. If we have more instructors, if we build a company to be more global, have actual people live. With COVID-19, I guess what we'll be experiencing is more localized travel. So we was trying to see, well, how do you do that? How can you have more localized retreats? Because people won't be traveling internationally as much. So kind of like, what's the model look like? So this is going to be something to explore. We're talking to Halal Trip about how best to position the retreat in you know, given the COVID-19 situation right now.
I'm just wondering, like, you know, you wrote this book, and you know, with your idea of your retreats, are there any critics, you know, saying that, you know, all of this is nonsense and stuff like that? Like, how do you receive it? How do you receive it, and what's your response on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, my response is, this is not for you then. That's my own response. I've had people saying, you know, I've been called everything, right? And people threaten, I've had to receive some, you know, threats, you know, people call me names, all sorts of things. And I think this is part of the journey, part of the process. But alhamdulillah, I've been blessed with amazing people, amazing team, and also a very, very sort of, and a very supportive community and very supportive client base, so to speak. So yeah, so even though, again, you're human, it does hurt, it does affect you. But a part of me is always saying, well, check back your sincerity. Why are you doing this in the first place? Again, check back the seerah. The Prophet ﷺ was accused more than you, was attacked more than you. You have nothing to complain about.
Right.
So I think without those two in mind, yes, there'll be critics. Yes, there are critics. Yes, it's not a sort of 100% fan base. But again, so well, it's not for you, and you move on.
I'm just wondering, for you yourself, right? Like, have you ever took a day off? Like I'm just too tired. I'm burned out. I want to just Netflix and chill today. Like, even at this time, like, do you do that?
So what I call a couple of things. I do what I call Gylio. Gylio is get your life in order days. GYLIO. Get your life in order.
Right.
Sometimes when I feel like, whoa, a lot of things are happening, things are falling off track. So I tell my team, all right, I'll be off a couple of days, and I'm doing Galio, getting my life in order. So things like, it could be things like spending more time with the kids, or doing more like, taking care of bills, taking care of like my taxes, all this stuff. And sometimes I try to pace myself so I don't get to burnout. For example, the first week of Ramadan this year was a very intense period. I was got like multiple organizations asking for webinars, training, and because Ramadan productivity is a big issue. So it was a very intense period. And I literally, as soon as that week finished, I told my team, I'm out for 3 days. I don't even think about anything right now. So I just take time off and just read and just chill. I try to, I try to be conscious of how I spend. I guess the best time to spend my time, off time, is usually, spend more time with the kids or spend more time reading. Yeah. I personally have an aversion against things like Netflix, things like Facebook, things like YouTube. Just not, again, I'm not here to halal, haram, all that stuff. For me personally, it's almost like, is this the best use of my time, right? Is this the best use of my time? A lot of times it's not. And there's ways for you to relax. I love cycling. I go cycling a lot. I love baking bread. I do a lot of baking. I love, just doing stuff. And that's more meaningful than just binge watching and just, and sitting down and doing nothing, basically.
Right. So, other than Productive Muslim, right? What have you invested your time on? Like, are there any other projects that you're doing, you're focusing on, other than Productive Muslim and your family?
Yeah, so other than baking and cycling,
yeah, that too.
I mean, that's a lot. It takes a lot of time. Baking takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. It's one of the things that I've been sort of looking into and really trying to explore is I'm really interested in this whole space of Islamic economy, right? This whole space of, this space of entrepreneurs coming together to serve a Muslim client base or to serve Islamic economy or to represent a Muslim lifestyle. What does it look like? So, sometimes, working as either as an investor, as a mentor, trying to work with some young entrepreneurs and seeing how to help them, sharing ideas or how to grow them. So that's been a small part of side interest that I have. Probably spend more time on this as the company grows, and also really thinking long term. The idea of like, how can this knowledge become widespread? How can it become more wide impact? So think about school programs, think about, more media sort of type of work, which has much more impact, a more large systematic impact versus just one-off trainings here and there. So these are things kind of back of your mind, you're kind of looking in. But again, 80% of my time, I'll be honest with you, 80% of my time is on, Product Muslim, family, baking and cycling, because I feel those come together. And again, because there's so much in here right now. Like right now, I'm doing some more research on Baraka, and just by that topic by itself is going to be another 10-year project, perhaps, just really focus on basically.
Nice. In business context, right? Maybe you can share with us some lessons that you have learned. Yeah, growing Productive Muslim. Yep.
Yeah, so I think with growing a company, it's interesting because it's a journey. And I think the best advice I will say is just I say in the book, have sincere intentions and work hard, and like just show up, right? Just show up. Like what you're seeing today is at least 13 years of Productive Muslim, right? So you're like, oh, mashallah, Muhammad Productive Muslim has got 1 million followers. I'm like, wait, you're not seeing the days when I had like a webinar with 2 people on it, right? You're not seeing the days where I wrote an article and there's not a single like or share or view. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
starts off by those the daily. If you do something consistently for 10 years, and that's
Yeah.
Baraka culture, right? The
Mm.
consistency, small steps, that over time creates that sort of quote unquote overnight success, so to speak. Another thing that was really helpful
Yeah.
is having a mastermind group that you're part of. Like I'm blessed to, when I'm in a 3-person
Mhm.
mastermind group, people in a very similar stage of their businesses, and I'm with them, and we just
Mm.
share our struggles, fears,
Yeah. Yep.
concerns, successes, all that among ourselves, and it really is helpful to have that voice board advisor to kind of keep you sane and
Mm.
keep you grounded and not lose sight of what you're focusing on. Especially people who kind of believe have the same value system, makes a huge difference. And of course, third is have a very supportive team. And again, we're blessed with a very sincere team. Like that's the word I always use. A very sincere, very hardworking.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of time, people see this, they think me, I'm the one who does all the work. I just talk. I'm the clown, right? I'm called the dancing bear, right? I'm the person who does all the, the more like the showpiece, but really this incredible research, incredible,
Yeah.
social, all this Instagram, social media, that's all a team does. Like I don't have Instagram on
Yeah.
my phone. I have no idea how to access my Instagram account. Like if you tell me just post something, I'm like, like I'm a total, but I have a team that does that. And I think having that helps make a huge
Mm.
difference. So,
Mm. All right. Right.
show up every single day, have a mastermind group, and focus on your team because they're really gonna keep you going, inshallah.
Nice. Great advice. Who are your role models in the current times and why?
See, the challenge using the word role models. I would say anyone who like I look up to as a role
Sure.
model. I would
Sure.
say I would have people who I'll say these are people that I reach out to whenever I need advice, right? And I see them as older brothers who have had more like experience than I do and have more insights perhaps than I do. For example, my brother Fazal Baharuddin, the CEO of Halal Trip, for example, I honestly see him as an older brother for me. So many times you'd be surprised. I actually wanted to cancel a retreat many times. It was
Mm.
his push saying no, keep going, because we have like 5 people
Mm.
sign up and we have like two
Yeah.
weeks to go. I'm like, what's the point? I'm not gonna travel just for 5 people.
Yeah.
And then last me like
Yeah.
20 plus people sign up basically.
MashaAllah.
So Fazal Baharuddin is definitely one of them. Dr. Abdullah Rahman is someone that I find again is a brother that I've truly genuinely alhamdulillah, we met this past couple of years, we became very close, worked together. He's
Mm-hmm.
someone who has very deep insight into Islamic psychology, and I'm learning a
Yeah.
lot from him.
Nice.
We're good thinking partners. For example, Brother Amir Rahman, he's a private equity financial, he's an investor and also somebody who understands Islamic, market and Islamic sort of finance market as well as economy. He was the one. He really believed Productive Muslim before it became Productive Muslim. Like he was like, this is when I was
Mm.
my own old cartoon blog, and he was this man is huge, head of a investment firm, someone very high up, really believing what we're
Yeah.
doing and kind of pushing it, which is huge. And alhamdulillah, we
Yeah.
work together. Um, Gosh, who else? There's so many. Of course, there's Peter Gould from Zilige, again, someone who I look up to as well, and Chris Blovelt from Launch Good, again, built
Mm.
incredible platform. Right, there's so
Yeah.
many. So all the I call these are rufaqa, these are like the friends on the journey, but these are friends I honestly look up to and learn from just by
Yeah.
observing and talking to them. And alhamdulillah, I've been blessed that I'm able to reach out. And one more CEO of Awakening, the Sharif Banna, who's run the Awakening platform, and he's also my publisher of the book as well. He's also been
Nice.
someone who I would consider a mentor and a role model in terms of running a company in this space, basically.
Nice. Beautiful. May Allah reward all of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. You spoke that you read some books, right? Maybe you can share with us a few of your favorite books.
Oh, that's a hard one. it's, a, it's like it's a favorite book depending on the context, right? So it's almost like if you
All right.
are struggling with sleep, the book Why We Sleep is pretty good. If you're
Oh
struggling
yeah.
with focus, book by Focus and by Daniel Goldman, as well as Deep Work,
Mm.
can be very powerful. Indistractable is very good as well. It depends what you're itching, what your itch is, right? If you're struggling with something and say what's out there. Recently, though, I started reading a lot more Islamic sort of classical text and really trying to get deeper into our own civilization, our own works. So the works like Muhammad Ghazali, even more modern things like, Sayyid Naqib al-Attas books, for example, very powerful books, which are written with Islamic worldview, which I think is very important to ground
Yeah.
ourselves, understand what do you believe in? What is your values before you go out? Because sometimes it can be very easy to reach out. There's nothing wrong reading all the secular books and all the Western books out there. It's
Yes,
very
yes, yes,
helpful,
yes.
but be able
Correct.
to filter that through a worldview that is ground your own faith and not just blindly kind of like just sort of take what's out there. It can be something misleading as well. So recently I've been reading more on that front. Prince Ghazi's books are very powerful. A Thinking Man's Guide. And of course, if you ever want the best books, the best bookstore in the world is in Singapore. Wardah Bookstore is my favorite bookstore. Every
Oh,
time I go to
Wardah.
Singapore, I have to do my annual Hajj to Wardah. And I just go there and I spend like 2-3 hours and I have a great discussion with Ibrahim and the staff at Wardah, amazing people. In fact, sometimes I order my books from Wardah from here in the US. I order online to deliver here because they have an
Wow.
amazing collection. Mashallah,
Yeah.
like really, I've been traveling. I've never found a bookstore like that anywhere in the world, mashallah. So
Nice.
there you go. I'm telling you, you guys have it all. Seriously, Singapore, you guys have it all, mashallah. Like, just all I need. I always tell my wife, like, if I had to choose where to live, it would definitely be Singapore. So that's something, inshallah, one day maybe perhaps happen.
Okay, enough of the Singapore praises already.
I'm not joking. I love that
All
place.
right.
It's really good. It's really good.
Okay. What have you changed your mind about in the last few years, and why?
Yeah, the biggest shift that changed my mind regarding goals and visions, right? I used to subscribe to the idea that you need to have a 5-year vision, a 10-year vision.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, let me ask you a question. 5 years ago, did you imagine being where you are today? Let me just ask you right now.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, at all. Yeah.
Everyone has the
No
same
way.
answer, right? 5 years ago, being where I'm like, nope, never imagine. And that
Yeah.
kind of really brought a question because a lot of time we make these 5-year goals and the vision board and cut that
Correct.
magazine of the
Correct.
perfect home, perfect
Correct.
family, all that stuff. It's driven from the perspective. It makes two false assumptions. The first assumption is your life is linear and basically it's on a going trajectory and you'll be 5 years from now where you are today, which may not be the case. A case in point, COVID-19. And the second
Yeah.
assumption is that you have control
Yeah.
over all the factors that would get there. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean you should not have vision,
Yeah.
should not have goals? No, you should have some
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
aspiration, some kind of himma, some kind of intention. We call it focus on intention
Yeah.
versus goal. That's why I went back to intention, why it's so important. So we really shifted our perspective. And this is one of the things that I would love to almost like rethink because in the book, I talk about goals and visions and life goals. And now we're actually saying, well, perhaps instead of talking about goals and visions, talk about life intentions. What is your intention in life? What is you going to achieve? I'll give you an example. There's a lady I was coaching and she was really struggling because I failed. I made it my life goal to become a doctor and I failed medical exam 4 times. So now one of my biggest life goals in my life to become a doctor is basically, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I told her, what's your intention? And she goes, I really want to help people in the physical space, in the health and physical well-being space. I'm like, okay, that's your intention. Like, yes, has that changed? Like, no, it has not changed. I'm like, perfect. What other way can you serve that intention without being a doctor? And she
Yeah.
came up with like 13, 40 different ways. And to really, the same intention hasn't changed.
Yes,
Because the
yes,
goal
yes.
makes it so fixed. Like, I have to achieve this. And
Correct.
like, it might not be good for you, right? Allah knows what's better for
Right.
us. But intention is saying, well, this is my intention. As long as it's pure and sincere, then how that intention comes to life. Allah, that's part of Allah's sort of work. Your work is to put in, you're like the gardener. You put in the fruit, you put in the plant, the seed, you work hard. The fruit is not up to you. The fruit up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think that was one of the things that we change our minds and shifts about. And it's something we're still learning. And again, we want case studies to prove that is this the better way of doing it? Or is vision boards and, hustle culture style, goal setting, is that the way to go basically?
Amazing, amazing. What's the worst advice you ever heard or being dispensed in your world?
Yeah, the worst advice is follow your dreams. Right? And again, I talk even somebody who is following their dream. I feel like it's follow your dream, but there's almost like an asterisk. There's a terms and conditions apply, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges, and I find this a lot, is sometimes we don't realize the responsibilities we have, right? If it's following your dreams means that you do not fulfill your responsibilities to your parents, to responsibilities to your siblings, to your spouse, to your children, there's something wrong, fundamental wrong with the idea of follow your dreams, right? And if that follow your dreams is about you, it's about your ego, it's about you want to become a better version, just about you, versus it's about serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a difference when saying instead of following your dream, you actually, I'm here to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then everything's aligned to that, versus, follow your dreams for personal, personal sake and personal gains, worldly financial gains, and nothing with a higher purpose. So that it's also, yes, follow your dreams, but make sure it's aligned. It's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure you're able to balance it across your roles, right? Make sure that it is values driven. You do it for right. You do it in a meaningful, ethical way, and not doing a way that goes against your values. So that advice needs a lot of sort of explanation before. So just to give you that advice, and then people break family ties. People sometimes throw away even their own faith and their parents and everything else just will follow your dreams and not realizing what that means basically.
Nice. Okay, maybe for those who have not read your book, right? Maybe you can give like 3 pointers to them, like the best pointers, summarize it for them.
I think the book does 3 things, and I hope that people get that from the book, even though I have personally want to change a lot of things in it, but it's still a valid book, right? Nothing, I would say it's something to disagree with. The first one, it really gets people to think the role of Islam and mix that Islam and personal development, Islam and productivity. I think so chapter 2 talks about Islam and productivity, which I feel is important for people to study that chapter, because I make that link. I realize it is very linked, that how your spirituality helps you boost your performance and productivity across all your roles, not just at work. The second one is this idea of self-mastery, meaning that really, when you understand how you sleep, when you understand what you eat, how it affects your performance, when you understand your distractions, how to manage your distractions and to be focused, just being able to master yourself, master your nafs, right? That is very powerful. And it's a skill that you can learn and develop. So self-mastery is the second thing to focus on, especially when it comes to, physically, and also with focus as well. And the third is hopefully, and I think it comes in the last chapter, I'll talk about productivity after death, which talks about, really thinking long-term, thinking that it's not about being productive for this world. It's about being productive to, basically to Allah accepts from you, right? So after 60, 70, 80 years, if we live that long, when we die, we're resurrected, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, what do you do with your life? You could shout the answer, this is my life. I've done my life, and ask for acceptance and ridha and mercy. I think that really is ultimately where we want to go. It's not about just getting things done and checking things off to-do list. It's about beyond that. And I think if people get these 3 points, then inshallah the book has served its purpose, inshallah.
All right. For yourself, right? What are the areas that you would like to improve on? Is there any weakness? Anything that you find that yourself you have a weakness and so anything that you want to improve
where
on?
do I start? I have a whole encyclopedia.
Maybe just one area. Please don't tell me about baking.
There's that bread which I've been struggling with for a while. It is. I'll be honest. As a business owner and as a father and as a husband and a son, there's always that fear, right? The fear of what if this doesn't work? What if this fails? What would happen, right? And I always say, and I tell this to my mastermind group, tell this to myself and the team, that I really need to work on this tawakkul, really to get in that trust factor. I look back in the last few years, sometimes days I thought it'd be impossible. This cannot continue. I thought this is going to khalas. This is it. This is the end of this. And every single time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has helped us, made it through, in terms of even got us better than expected. Every single time. And having that true tawakkul, true trust, is something that I personally still need to work on as a human being. And I pray that, over the years, I get to a point where I'm able to have that complete utter trust, right? I feel it's sometimes, again, shaitan, sometimes your nafs, sometimes dunya, sometimes other people, they come gnawing at you and they put those doubts, but it's there. You're human and you work on it basically.
Thank you. That's a good one. I struggling with that too, because how can you live your life with so much uncertainties, right? Like you don't know, So I think that is one thing that we as believers, we have to really put our trust, increase that. Yeah. Right. I always ask this to all my guests at the end. What makes a great leader?
That's a good question. I think a great leader um, is someone who's sincere, right? Is sincere that, yes, they might not, sometimes they have maybe not best behaviors, character, but if they're sincere, people will rally around that person. They might have flaws, but if they're sincere, people rally behind it. So sincerity, and it's not sincerity to themselves or sincere to the organization values, but sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sincere to a whole different dimension. And that's why the beautiful thing about our history is we see those, sincere leaders in our history. We see those
Yeah,
amazing Khulafa Rashidin who, despite their different styles, different characters,
yeah,
different, behaviors, but regardless, they were sincere, right? Even sometimes, even when things did not work out for them, you can tell all of them were sincere. And again, it comes back to ikhlas. I feel like if a leader has that ikhlas, genuinely has the ikhlas, then everything else, hopefully can be forgiven and everything else can be worked around, improved. But if there's no ikhlas, if no sincerity, if they're out there to serve themselves, then it's unfortunately, we see examples of this in today's world. Then unfortunately, we just we see the impact has not just on themselves but on society and organization at large as well.
thank you so much, Muhammad Faris.
Yeah.
It's really a pleasure to really do this with you. I pray that Allah may Allah reward everything that you have
Amen.
done. Your works is amazing, and you will continue to inspire us in the future. Any last parting words that you want to say?
I mean, first, Jazakallah khair for hosting me. Thank you so much. And again, in the middle of this pandemic, the fact that, there's a lot that we can learn and there's a lot that we can grow. And as long as I hope that all of us here, we just really start thinking about being sincere, working hard, thinking like a gardener. Inshallah ta'ala, beyond post-COVID will be much, much better than expected, inshallah ta'ala. And we can thrive and really within Barakah culture, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.